If I was in a room with every man I've ever wanted, every love interest I've ever had, every me that I had wished that they had flaunted, I'd have two decisions. I could stay, or I could go. I could make myself pick someone I still really don't know, but in my mind they're wonderful. I've never met somebody so kind. They ruined me so gently I don't even have the reflex yet to mind. There's me, the artist. A paintbrush in her hand, she has a pencil in her hair, but her creations lack substance. I've never been so bland. There's me, the skinniest, that never lets herself feel, that cries in the shower, then puts makeup on like it wasn't a big deal. There's me, that doesn't care, that never been so cool, that wears sweaters she's allergic to because he gives her expensive wool. They're all me, aren't they? Deep down, I know that's true. The room isn't about the men. It's all these me's that I wish that I knew, or at least that I thought that I wanted. The artist shows her hand. There's locks on all her paint bottles. She tells me I don't fully understand. The me that's most wanted has never hated herself more. She thought a relationship would make it better. She's never been sad like this before. The me who cares too much shakes pills out of a bottle. He says it's weak to rest, so she lives her life on full throttle. I was in a room with all these people I thought I wanted, but they were all ghosts of me, and I was fucking done being haunted. So I turned back. As they all shrieked and cried, I made the difficult decision as they all collectively sighed out of relief or compassion or to save themselves from who they are. He asked if I'm okay as I suddenly stop the car, as I turn, as my heart races, as I look at him and cry. He sees in my face a question and a self-inflicted lie. I was always outside. The room was never mine. I let people build up inside of me this harmful, disgusting lie that to be better, I had to be wanted. I had to be something new, something different, more digestible, more them who wanted less you. So I cry that day like I've been floating. And the ocean starts to crash under the weight of expectation, under a decision I thought was too rash. And he holds my face like I'm leaving. Or maybe I'm finally coming home. If I was in a room with everyone I've ever wanted, I would never feel more alone. Today I watched in awe as a shooting star came. At first the wishes poured out for attention, more fame, for money and objects, for things that I should want. I looked back at the time, then the list shifted to the harder to flaunt. At first the list was material. I could feel it in my hand. All of the things people care about for which we never care to understand. The art of knowing is different than the art of being known. I know what I would wish for, and it's not a list that's easily shown. As I hold my breath in tunnels, as I shut my eyes as 11-12 nears, I wonder all the wishes that a shooting star hears. So one day I asked it, as I watched in awe. Some wished for money, some wished for someone else to call. The star kept moving, collecting things to know, burdening itself with all these secrets we never show. I saw vision boards, Pinterest boards, that we keep secret. I offered them back to the stars, but they told me I should keep it. That they were behind schedule, very understaffed. All these wishes poured in, and reality just sat back and laughed. The stars didn't like them, said they didn't believe. Sometimes a wish doesn't come, but it still shows you what you need. I said I wished for bravery, and only discomfort came. They said bravery only comes when you stop being the same. But I said I wished for love and met loneliness every night. They said sometimes being alone teaches us how to love ourselves right. That's when reality stood up and danced with a star or two. They laughed at how wrong we were. How you wished for me, while I wished for you. I always hated my brown eyes until I looked up and saw your face, that same familiar reflection, but my shade of eyes in a different place. You had brown eyes, but yours looked like coffee at noon, like sleeping in, waking up late, like the kind of world I wanted to be a part of soon. Your eyes were honey, cinnamon rolls, and sweet tea. I hated my brown eyes until your brown eyes saw me, because your eyes weren't just brown. They were The redwood forest at dawn, the break of sunlight, new beginnings, hugging a fast asleep fawn. Your eyes were ember, a fire slowly coming to. I always hated my brown eyes until I associated brown eyes with you. Now when I look in the mirror, I wonder what you see. Brown eyes were just brown, but now there's so many other things that they could be. Mountainous ranges, acoustic guitar. It's my first November in Los Angeles. I point to a Hollywood star. I hated my brown eyes. But you make them look like California sand, like the vacation I came home to, like a dinner table in a wedding band. I hated my wavy, curly hair until you put flowers in each lock. Until I looked and there you were after rush, nervous knock, and it was like 7 a.m. But I sent a text and there you were, messy hair waved. And I knew then what would occur. You were everything I loved that I convinced myself was less. I hated my crooked smile until I saw yours. God bless. I knew you hated it, hated the brown eyes, messy hair, hated it until you saw me. Then you really didn't care to bear the weight of the insecurities that a society made you hold. To hate things not because you felt you needed to, but because that's what you were told. You were a big middle finger to everything I thought I knew. I never hated those parts of me. I just never learned to admire them. Until I loved you. I write about us like we never happened, like it's all fiction told through prose, like my imagination is just this world that nobody ever fully knows. But these stories are just memories that I held too tight to let go. There, it's never over. I still replay it extra slow and rewind just to listen to how you sounded when I had your heart. You used to look at me like I held paintbrushes and you were ready to be someone's art. Like you were ready to be someone outside of yourself. But I drew you as how I always wanted to somehow see myself. You were worth loving. You were so brave. You were the art that all of this pain gave. I write about you like I'm telling a story I wish I knew. I write about you like I wish that you wrote about me too. You were instantly noticed. I couldn't look away. The sentences wrote themselves in an effort to keep my feelings at bay. You were always there, but I never knew until the end. But I knew from that first moment that I could never be just your friend, because within you I saw a story that I never knew that I could write. So I took pen to paper with the newfound hope that I just might create this idea of someone so perfectly true. Why would I ever write fiction when there exist people like you? And in every universe, in every career I'll never see, I would invent for you to create that version of me. The kind that doesn't just see beauty. She helps it transform. The day that we met, a new genre for me was born, somewhere between romance and fictionalizing what's real. Somewhere between being in pain and still somehow letting yourself feel. Somewhere between together, but not fully so. Somewhere between I hate them and I still love them though. I write about us like we never happened, but I couldn't write if we never had. I write about it like heartbreak. Maybe it wasn't all that bad. You were ready to be someone. You were already enough for me. But I hope you found what you were looking for and experienced what it's like to be. I saw this guy on my For You page, and I don't believe in love at first sight, but if I was attached to a lie detector, my heartbeat would have just soared up like a kite. I don't believe that it could happen, but I'll write about it nonetheless, because if one has a crush, the only honest option left is to confess. So yeah, I might have a crush on you. This complete stranger that I don't know. If I saw you crossing the street, it would take me a second longer to get to wherever it was that I needed to go. Cause damn, it's not often that I'm speechless. In fact, I really do love to speak. But one look at you and my day was made for the week. Will I tell you that? No. Should I? Probably yes. But you're gonna listen to this and the subject of the matter, you're never gonna guess. That's kind of unfortunate, actually. My friends say that I should make the first move. So here it is, queen to king. Its success rate, maybe you could help me prove. Because if this were in a coffee shop, if this were somewhere downtown, I would leave whatever room we're in and hope to see you around. And if I didn't see you, what a sad day that would be. I saw this guy on my For You page, and maybe now he'll see me. If this were in a bookshop, I would drop the book from the shelf, not because I meant to, obviously, but because, have you seen yourself? That kind of beauty inspires poets to write. I saw this guy on my For You page, but I don't believe in love at first sight. If this were in an airport, I would have to book a different flight just for a chance to have dinner with you, but obviously I don't believe in love at first sight. If I don't believe it, it can't happen. If I don't believe it, it can't come true. If I don't believe it, why did God spend extra time making you? Anyways, I saw this guy on my For You page. And then I scrolled away because I could write spoken word and still not know what to say. I don't want to be boy pretty. I want to be the kind of pretty that makes you cry, like a sunset that kisses your best friend the right way, like a compliment you know wasn't meant as a lie. I think we get so caught up in this idea of who we could be, the prettiest, most successful. Maybe that's not what's meant for me. But instead, lakes and picnics and beauty written as word, poetry and novels. I'm not sure what you've previously heard, but you don't need to be boy pretty or girl pretty or any prettier than you already are. You need to be in love with yourself like you were made from the contents of a star, because you were and are. The galaxy wishes your smile. They told the sun and the moon they look for you every once in a while in cafes. And they see you laughing at bad jokes, stressing about first dates and meeting a new guy's hometown folks, and learning and becoming who the star wishes it could be. We waste our time wanting to be for others. What if I just want to be enough for me? They said they saw you crying, but the tears are watering the grass. They see the gardens you are planting while you're studying for another class, in libraries, at wooden tables, with friends old and new. The star falls longingly, shooting its last shot for you. When I'm older and more wrinkled, and I'm given a book of all my past thought, I wonder how many pages will be spent wishing I was someone I am not, and how many pictures I will sigh to, how many events to which I wish I had gone, a life full of regret. That doesn't sound very fun. When beauty is like language understood by those who learn to speak, do you ever stop to think you're the wish somebody's star does seek? Not for who you could be, but a wish for who you are. A prayer to the divine that you didn't end up somewhere too far. So I don't want to be pretty in sight. I want to be pretty in heart, so that when I'm returned to the sky someday, they still can't tell me and my star apart. I'm a writer sometimes, of fiction and prose, but the real main character of my story, between us, nobody really knows. I'm a writer, so I write. Sometimes what I know, sometimes what I wish I did, sometimes about the places I want to go. Sometimes about people I love, or people who broke my heart. My absolute best friends are described all over my art, in the way they smile, or they talk, or the way they convince me to stay. Because it could be the worst day of my life, but I'm still laughing with them anyway. I've learned as time goes on that love is friendship contained. It had no more space to go, so it exploded until no sadness remained. And sometimes I think it's so silly that I sit here wishing for more, as I'm surrounded by these amazing people I would have never met before. If I had stayed for the sake of staying and not the will to succeed, I would have never left enough space to hear what my best self would actually need, like time and loneliness. In silence to gather my thoughts. I'm a writer sometimes when my stomach is full of knots, and the words can't come out right, and my voice shakes as it stands. When I can't make out the feeling, but instead the movement of my hands. I'm a writer, I think. But that's not what I say. Instead, I'm an expert memory keeper of the things that I should probably push away. But then as I'm sorting through them, there a memory holds. My best friend called to tell me her boyfriend loves her. My heart with excitement folds. They got into grad school. He heard from his top choice. A fold here, a crease there. All written in my voice. She hates eating chocolate. He hates feeling the sand. Whether I am myself or a collection of everyone I've ever loved, I'll never understand. Conocí a un muchacho que me hace sentir famosa, que me manda piropos por nomás hacer cualquier cosa, como respirar o despertar o pensar hacer poesía. Conocí a un muchacho en el futuro algún día, que me ama por amar y no por ser amado. Conocí a un muchacho no como los otros con quienes antes he hablado, que me dicen qué bonita, solo para después hacerme sentir fea. Quienes me hacían sentir que amarme era la más terrible tarea. Así que dejé de conocer, de amarme, de intentar. Conocí a un muchacho que me convenció de nuevo a amar, no con eventos o flores, pero con paseos al mar, con mensajes con su voz, porque nunca dejamos de hablar, con cartas y fotos y videos de quién soy, a quién conocí. A eso ya voy. Un hombre inteligente y cariñoso que planea cada cita, no solo la tercera. Su amor del mío no quita. Crece en respeto la persona que puedo ser. Su mujer ideal y la mía son la misma persona que queremos ver. La fama no es famosa. Su amor por mí sí es. Conocí a un muchacho y de verdad esta vez. Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe I'm just too fixed, too self-aware, sorry. The thoughts must have all gotten mixed. Because I think you're talking about you when you say the anxiety doesn't stop. I'm watching you take my heart and then play scare its unfortunate drop. Except it slips and in slow motion. There, away it goes. We're both holding our breath or each other still, who knows? And you look at me in fear and I look at you like I should have known. You look at me like you're surprised. This is what I look like when I have my mind blown. Except not really, actually. I just take a big sigh. I'm kind of sick of having to, I don't know, the laws of gravity defy as you watch it fall. But I have to learn how to fly because I'd do anything to catch it. But hey, you're still just some guy. You're not trained in the act of saving. But hey, wait, neither am I. Why do you have to be honest? Why do I have to be honest? But you just get to lie because I have to know how to cook, how to clean, how to be more quiet, how to be less seen, how to be amenable and charming in just the right shape, how to learn how to be empty but still let others come in and scrape the last of who you were, the last of what you had. I'm not broken or not over you. I'm just feeling kind of sad that you pretend to hurt me, but when you actually do, all fingers point back to me. But hey, I mean, what's new? You're going through it. Life is too fast. Yeah, I get it, trust me, but I'm just a loser who can't get past. How you're allowed to be learning, but I, an expert, have to be. How you're allowed to change your mind whenever you want about me and us and what I should like and what constitutes a joke. You're allowed to be rude, but God forbid I ever misspoke, because here comes the unlovable, the always second best, the bane of your existence. Yeah, give it a rest. I'm too self-aware to put all the blame on you. So I say it wasn't his fault. There was some part I must have played in it too. As he wipes his hands free of the scene of the crime, he said it wasn't right, but he meant me, not the time. I get it. I do. All understandable for you. But I have to be healed from everything that I've been through, because I'm not broken. Broken people can't fly. The wings would be ripped apart. They would struggle to even try to get out of bed in the morning or make a plate to eat. You would know that, wouldn't you, if that person you did meet, and they had beautiful eyes, but something felt like it missed. The light snuck from behind them. You get the gist. Too self-aware to say it wasn't my fault. The full culpability locked twice inside a vault that some call heart, that only when broken flies. We both looked at each other in awe as she hit the floor, then started to rise. My back is still towards you. I don't know if I can turn around. You get closer and continue saying how my laugh is still your favorite sound. How you replay it like a song that's meant to be heard. How I was the combination of every best-selling novel, but you were barely just a word. How the sun would be jealous of my blinding light. How you would still admire me somehow, even if your retinas put up a fight. How you felt unworthy. How you kind of still think you are. How I was a one-way ticket to your dream life, but you were afraid to go that far. You're sorry. You're sorry. Yeah, honestly, me too, because why is it that you only want me when nobody wants you? You want me. You want me. I don't know what to say. You didn't want me yesterday, but hey, at least you want me today. But what about tomorrow? What about when I'm crying? What about those days when you no longer feel like trying? What about the 6 months it took you to come back around? What about when you left trying not to make a sound? You know, apologies only work when you mean what you say, and you say, I mean it. I really want to stay, but I want you to go. Because I deserve much better, because you're begging for attention like I begged for a love letter. Go home. Leave. Don't talk to me again. Because do you know how sad it is to feel like I'm better off with fictional men that someday I may meet? At least I hope that's true. Because anyone would be better than begging and continuing to be in love with you. You know, it was an immediate sense of heat when my throat went dry, because all I could do was laugh, or else I would have drowned if I started to cry. She wore a pretty dress, had her hair tied back. She was everything I wanted to be that you must have thought I would always lack. You live next to the restaurant, so I saw as you helped her in. She's sitting in the empty spaces where I guess our commitment issues must have been. You know the waiter. The waiter knows me too, because everyone in this damn restaurant is so in love with you. I should keep walking. I should delete your contact and go. But why you chose her over me, I just desperately want to know. This is your first time meeting. I can tell by the shy glance. She lets you order for her. I would have never given you the chance. She's so pretty, but she looks nothing like me. Is she who you were looking for when you said each other we shouldn't see? You say you want to talk about it. So I'm crying in your car then. You said you didn't mean for it to happen. I said I would never let this happen again. Nothing is the same after. I hesitate to text back. Looking at your choices, we must have been running on different tracks. But still going in circles. So do you love me or not? Because you text me after knowing that her dinner you just bought. You know, it was an immediate sense of heat when my throat went dry, because all I could do was laugh, or else I would have drowned if I started to cry. She wore a pretty dress, had her hair tied back. She was everything I wanted to be that you must have thought I would always lack. You live next to the restaurant, so I saw as you helped her in. She's sitting in the empty spaces where I guess our commitment issues must have been. You know the waiter. The waiter knows me too, because everyone in this damn restaurant is so in love with you. I should keep walking. I should delete your contact and go. But why you chose her over me, I just desperately want to know. This is your first time meeting. I can tell by the shy glance. She lets you order for her. I would have never given you the chance. She's so pretty, but she looks nothing like me. Is she who you were looking for when you said each other we shouldn't see? You say you want to talk about it. So I'm crying in your car then. You said you didn't mean for it to happen. I said I would never let this happen again. Nothing is the same after. I hesitate to text back. Looking at your choices, we must have been running on different tracks. But still going in circles. So do you love me or not? Because you text me after knowing that her dinner you just bought. I liked you more than you ever liked me, so it's no surprise really that I feel like a stupid idiot who just couldn't bear to see you were never gonna choose me. But I convinced myself maybe someday you would. Maybe you just needed time to yourself. Maybe my absence in your life could make you miss me, or be more considerate towards me, or maybe even just make you stop to think. Why do you only want me when you've had too much to drink, when the night is too lonely, when the weather's too cold? This is the kind of thing I would have kept suffering from, but you know what? I'm getting old, and I keep thinking how I'm wasting time that I no longer have. I keep going back and forth about it until you know what, it's just sad and pathetic and abusive if I keep putting myself in harm. You obviously don't want me, as I noticed you didn't reach for my arm. When I started falling, the reflex wasn't to reach out for me. You said you didn't want to be with anyone, but you just didn't want to be with... I see. And I'm crying at the restaurant when you reach for my palm, telling me it didn't mean anything to you. You think it'll somehow make me feel calm, but it doesn't, as I imagine her. It doesn't, as she's so much prettier than I. It doesn't help the fact that you said it without flinching while you looked me in the eye. With no hint of pain or sadness, no feelings were attached. I'm a suitcase of emotion that I guess you accidentally left unlatched. And now they're all tumbling with bruises and rocks. I'm not supposed to be sad about it, so instead I install more locks. One at my heart so it may never open again. One at my mouth. Why wasn't I enough for you back then? The locks aren't closing. I'm screaming at them, please. I'm sobbing at these doors and their unaffordable fees that I can no longer keep paying if I want to see it out. I liked you so much I forgot what love is supposed to be about. So I go and look for a library and a book to take me back. I'm sitting at a table surrounded by the most unfortunate stack of how to not be so stupid, how to not let him break your heart, how to get back out there when... Sorry, the books I can't tell apart. The words are all mixing. I liked you more, but you also told me you had never felt this way before, so I'm not confused, I'm just honest. And you're not honest, you're just confused. And I was the unfortunate character of the self-help book I guess you used. To me, you were art before the lines fully connected, before the paint was done drawing, before you were in a gallery someone perfected. You are, not were, because the gallery's still there. I'm standing in the corner of it because walking through is too hard to bear. As I remember all your sketches and all your failed, torn up drafts, every mistake you held on to, God, how I miss your different laughs. The nervous one and the scared one and the how can this be for me? Because art is still art, even if its value you don't see. But you were meant for more than just sometimes feeling good about yourself, about the future. If I could take you to the present, I would. To say the art didn't come easy. It just reflected too well. It inspired the masses. You inspire me to finally tell everybody that I'm not an artist. I'm just always in the presence of art. They asked me where home is. I drew a picture of your heart. And I kept messing up the details, so I kept erasing, but I wrote in pen. I memorized you so well, I recited you like a poem back then, that I had heard and thought, wow, I've never seen myself in words. So I laid in my bed awake until the sun rose from the alarm of birds as I stared at the ceiling, just wondering what to do. You are art to me, but I don't want to just be art to you. Amuse, how amusing, lamentable at best, for all of California was done for when you decided to move back west. Because how can the sun compare to you? How can the trees dare to palm? If they're not holding your hand, if they're not tasting your lip balm, how can the ocean wave so happily? How can the stars still shine if you are not just the gallery, but the entirety of this state of mind? In Washington and Connecticut and New York in the fall, Maryland and Massachusetts and every state I've been in, you're in them all. Melancholic and thoughtful and joyful this time of year. The weather in LA is pretty nice in December, I hear. And the galleries, oh the galleries. I've seen them nearly all. Except one I have yet to fully know. But that art I still can't call. He was never a poet. In fact, he never really liked to write. But sometimes he recorded voice message of all the songs he had written. But tonight, he thought it might be time to give a new skill a try, so he forced himself to move forward before he had time to stop and ask why. As he sat down at his desk, with a camera opened on his phone, the only way to welcome someone into your heart is to accept you might not want it to be alone. So, he cleared his throat as she hesitantly hit play. There's so much to talk about, but so little I'm brave enough to say. His eyes glitter like water, hit just the right way by the sun. There's so much I've thought about, but so little that I've done. But tonight, call me inspired. I think you deserve the same. I could come up with a million excuses, but there's no one else to blame. You play with words like lace, crocheted into the most beautiful veil. I keep wishing we were together, but every single time I somehow fail to consider that I might just be the problem, the block in the road. You're the queen of all princesses, and I keep thinking I'm just a toad. But you deserve princes and ball gowns somehow, fairy tale endings. But how do I move on if I'm still there? Waiting for a dream that might just be real. I was feeling sorry for myself until I realized I'm the one making it a big deal. And you deserve homes. So houses I help build because with you glasses of water would not only be half filled but bursting with excitement and overflowing with joy. You're the final boss of all the dreams that I employ. Taxed with this idea that they're too hard to reach. I would compare thee to a summer's day, but that's just a figure of speech. And you are the embodiment of all that is true. Who could care for similes and metaphors when poetry begs to compare to you? And I thought for a while, secrets aren't to be shared. I've liked you from the first moment, but can you blame me? So I was scared. But you deserve bravery, so courage I went and found, because I keep writing all my songs to the way your voice might just sound, singing them when you're sleepy and so dreamily so you could make anyone fall in love. Yeah, trust me, I know, because all it took was one moment when I was unprepared. If I had been looking, oof, my God, worse I would have fared, because just like Medusa, I'd be done, stuck in place with one look into your eyes, with one glimpse of your face. And if they ever found me in 55 years' time, they'd wonder why I was smiling and who made me want to rhyme. You think I'm too cocky, that my ego's too big. You throw the shovel at me after I taught you how to dig. You know what, yeah, maybe. If you think confidence is a threat, my ego would be pretty big for someone with little to no accomplishments, I bet. You think I overshare, that there is a limit and it's been spent, that the time has passed to rebel. I wonder where your unconditional support for me went. Because when I was nothing, nobody to no one, you thought I was so beautiful, how perfect, so fun. Because you were a star, this amazing, well-known guy. Everybody wanted to be your friend without you having to try. Well, I settled in shadows. Nobody cares about the cold until you're lacking a warm blanket, until suddenly you're too old, or it's too hot and you need it. We could never afford air conditioning though. So I became cold to survive all the places I needed to go, like Ivy League campuses with their brick monotonous walls, to pretend I wasn't crying in the basements of esteemed famous halls. And sometimes, some days, the sun would come out, sure, but always in front of sunglasses, for I was too hard to endure. You told me to be humble, to talk about it all less. You told me to play checkers when I only learned how to play chess. And I'm watching and planning and taking my time. You only liked me when I was in the shadows, but now it's time to shine. You have no idea how long I've waited for this. You tell me you want a wife, I want a life that I won't miss someday when I'm older. And I think I never did celebrate. You love who I was, but what if who I was is who I hate? Because she never said anything, she just waited for her life to occur. You liked her better because she was easier to manipulate, I infer. Because if you know nothing, everything seems right. People tell you who you are and you say, who am I to fight? Their opinions of who I should be or how I should act. I told you I wanted to be successful, now I'm telling you I don't want you back. Because you think I'm too full of myself. What if I'm just full of hope? What if the version you knew me as is who I had to become to cope? But she was unhappy and realized nearly too late. I'm not who I am because of you, but despite you, checkmate. You like me in secret and hard for others to see, and messages never spoken. I don't think you're being honest with me, because I love in poems that I post for millions to know. You don't even like me enough to ask where it is that I wanted to go. New York in December, Italy in June. You like me in secret, but hey, maybe you'll love me right soon. When I'm quieter and smaller and don't love as loud, when I'm a hidden secret journal passage, you're not even the slightest bit wowed. When you tell me you love words of affirmation, so I build a podium and clear my throat. I write like it's raining, you look at me like you should have brought a coat. So I try to reel it back, try to make ponds instead of seas. I try to be anything, but I like to be myself now, please. The podium, the microphone, we need a new guest. You like me in secret when I'm not too depressed. So I take a seat right in front of the stage. I leave the offer open in an effort to turn a new page. And the stadium is all empty. The theater goes dark. And then in the corner of my eye, there it is, a new spark. As he clears his throat, as I watch, somewhere from the back. He can't see me, not yet, but the words definitely don't lack. As he speaks, hoping I hear a public display of trust. You liked me in secret, or was it all just now lust? I can tell that he's nervous. This isn't his type of thing. He holds the microphone with a tight fist as he plays with a ring. But he's doing it well. Poetry in prose. If the poet never gets written about her poetry, she never knows. How very poetic. I return to hear him say, you perform art. This is my first time doing this today. But art worth knowing is worth being shown. You liked me in secret. He makes me feel like I'm worth being known. If I was in a room with every man I've